You're not poor, you just need a side hustle. In this video, we're gonna talk about the reasons why you need a side hustle in 2025 and the power that this can really hold if you leverage it correctly. Sometimes you're just sitting there frustrated like, my why is because I just need more money. If you're able to invest $500 a month just for 3 years, you would already have $20,000. On this channel, I love to talk about DoorDash, side hustles, and the gig economy in general. I have tried my fair share of side hustles over the years, and on here I like to share the good and the bad, what I've learned about them, and the importance of having one. But let's just get right into why you need a side hustle. At least now in 2025, things are becoming so expensive that it really is now hard to live off of a single income. And it's hard to also rely on a single income because at any moment, it kind of feels like you could lose that income. We have less and less job loyalty that's coming from the employer side than ever before. And it's kind of a scary thought to think, no matter what industry you're in, that you could be canned at any moment's notice and all of your income could be gone like that. While that sounds negative and scary, the good side of that is that now we also have more opportunity than ever. We have so many opportunities now to make money online, make money from home in so many ways with the internet and now the rise of AI. There are so many options of things you can dig your nails into and really test out. And before you know it, you could also branch way out from a side hustle and even end up quitting your job and replacing your current income from your side hustle. While your side hustle can fuel your life in many different ways, the big key for me is if you can live off your income at your current job, whether you're a W-2 employee or a contractor, whatever it is you're doing, if you can live off that income and save and invest your side hustle income, this will unlock a whole other side of wealth building. Not only will this increase your income up front, but it will give you a strong sense of why. People always talk about finding your why when you're starting a side hustle or starting a business. And I know it can be kind of annoying because sometimes you're just sitting there frustrated like, my why is because I just need more money. And it might be hard to sit down and really think about what this answer is for you when you're living in survival mode and you don't feel like you can actually sit down and have an honest conversation with yourself about what you're passionate about or what fuels you. It just feels like I just need more money now. And it's this sense of urgency. But an interesting take is it's actually very easy to work a side hustle and put in those extra hours and energy when you know it's fueling savings and investments. When I was in my prime of selling things on eBay, I would source all day, Friday and Saturday, and be gone for hours at a time doing a route to different thrift stores to source my items. And on Sundays, I would stay home all day, cleaning, photographing, and listing the items, as well as just doing my other regular prep for the week that I would be doing anyways, like grocery shopping, prepping lunches, things like that. Given my current schedule at that job, I was working a lot. And it's not really something I would suggest now looking back. It was great to do for a short period of time because it really did help me increase my income for about a year. With all those hours I was putting in, I was working way too much. And I definitely burned out quickly because I kind of was living off of the side income. I wasn't really thinking about why I was doing this. I was just thinking I need more money. That was like all the thought that went into it, which yes, that can be a valid reason, but I wasn't really thinking why I was putting in this insane amount of hours to the point where my life mostly revolved around working. And I really felt like I had to say no to most things. And I not only felt it, but I did say no to a lot of things. And I felt a lot of stress and pressure. And when my family and friends would want to hang out and do fun things, I would usually say no or say, I have to stick to my schedule. I really was very, very persistent about sticking to my certain schedule of sourcing a certain amount of items per week, doing a certain amount of listings per week, and then every day orders were coming in. So I would get home, ship those orders when I got back from my job, leave a little bit early, drop off the orders in the morning before work to the post office, and kind of rinse and repeat. And I had this very, very strict schedule that really did help me grow my eBay store. But I wish that I had had a stronger sense of why I was working this hard for the money. And I wish I would have saved more of it, which is also kind of a topic for another video. But if you are working a side hustle where you are taking that money and putting it straight into either savings, investment, or some other plan for your future and not just wasting it away on having extra things, going out to eat, buying designer clothes, extras in general, you will be a lot more motivated to stick with it and you won't really have to talk yourself up about why you need to work on your side hustle. I know everyone might not be at that point where they can afford to live solely off of their income at their current job, and they are looking for a side hustle to fuel living expenses. Even if your side hustle allows you to put an extra $20 a month into savings that you didn't have before, you're still going to compound that over time, and it may seem useless in the moment, but if you can stick with this plan, it will compound over time and pay you off dividends in the future. Having side hustles is really the only way I've been able to save and invest money, and it all started when I realized after getting my first job that these paychecks were not going to cut it. I was taking home about $1,200 every paycheck, so this is every 2 weeks at my first job. Granted, yes, it was a first job out of college, so you kind of can't really expect too much out of that. But still, I was coming out of a good school with a science degree, and I still was sitting there like, there's no way that this just is not going to be enough, especially living alone, wanting to still be moved out of my parents' house and have an apartment. There's no way these checks are going to cut it. And I only made it about less than a year at that first job before I started doing side hustles. And my first one that I started doing was eBay, as I discussed before. And that's something I still do to this day, but I just do it on a much smaller scale. When I was in the height of it, I was listing every single day, and sales would come in between 2 to 5 items per day that I was selling. So I was able to build momentum with this, but it did, of course, take time to build up to that. And when I first started, I just had a pile of items on the floor in my living room that I bought at the thrift store. And then I slowly worked my way up to having a bin system and all of that. But I can make another separate video on just my entire story with selling things on eBay and tips about that. Because even though I did intentionally ramp it down and now do this at a little bit of a slower pace, it is still a great side hustle that I would recommend. So I can make a separate video on that. But that was my very first entry point into finding side hustles. And I remember just sitting and thinking to myself, when I first found out that you can buy items from the thrift store and flip them, it was like a magic switch went off in my head. I don't know why I never thought about this before, but I was like, we have so much stuff just sitting around in stores at Goodwill and Savers and all those places that are just donated for whatever reason. There is so much opportunity to be had there if you know what you're doing and you can find a niche and just flip things all day long. So that's how I first started getting into side hustles. When I first started, I was using my side hustle income to fund my life. It was not going towards savings and investments. That's why I'm saying that even if you're not at that point right now, see it for yourself in the future, because that's where I'm at now. And it's very, very easy to work hard when you know why you're doing it. It's very easy for me to work on my side hustles, and I don't really view them as annoying or a hassle because there is a very, very large reward waiting on the other side of working, because that money is not just being spent and thrown away every month where I don't know where it went. It's actually being utilized and being put straight to a purpose. And once you have those systems set up, it just is really hard to be lazy. If you're able to work just a little bit extra per month, if you're able to make $500 extra per month from any side hustle you decide to pursue, that's another $500 that you can put straight into savings and investments, and over time can compound into some serious numbers. So here's a quick example of how much this can really make a difference. So I'm going to put the starting amount at $1 just so we have something. The return after only 3 years, and then the return rate is 10% if you invest in the S&P 500. And then if we're able to just deposit it $500 every month, then this is how much you'll have. If you're able to save $500 a month for only 3 years, you would already have $20,000. This compounds a lot more quickly the longer you save, but I just wanted to show a really short-term example that even if you can do this for a couple years, this is how worth it is. So if you're lacking motivation or having a reason why you really want to start a side hustle, maybe you just feel discouraged about the current economic climate, are thinking the last thing I want to do is work more, think about that if you can just find a way to live off of the income that you have now and put all the rest of your side hustle that you're going to start into savings and investments, you can drastically change the path of your life in a matter of a couple years. Things are changing rapidly, and while it used to be a lot more feasible to just have one income, now I just feel like it's a lot more commonplace for people to have side hustles out of necessity, but also because it's just the smarter way to do things. If you have multiple streams of income, then you are just a lot more stable in general. You're not as prone to being thrown off your plan because you know if one thing falls apart, you're still okay. It will give you a lot of mental and emotional stability to know that if you lose your job tomorrow, you could breathe. You might say, okay, I still have this much coming in from my side hustles every month. Hopefully I have savings built up by this point from those exact side hustles. If I lose my job tomorrow, I don't have to go into a panic spiral. I don't have to think about applying to the very first job I can get. And then you're just living in a cycle of fear. You have to be faced with just taking the first job that you can get in your field if you're fired or laid off. We've all seen that mass layoffs have been happening for the past couple years now. And even if you do nothing wrong, you can still be fired or laid off. Just a great thing to have in your back pocket, to have a side hustle, knowing that if you get laid off tomorrow, that you can still have some money coming in that can fuel at least some of your living expenses. So you have time to at least get a new job, look for something you might actually enjoy, and not have to be stuck with just like rapid applying to any new job in your field. And then also not having leverage once you go to negotiate your salary, then you're going to sit there knowing you're just desperate and know that you'll take whatever they give you first because you might be afraid to lose the offer. All of these things really intertwine into your entire view on money and also your emotional and mental stability, because a lot of that is tied to your money. And if you know that you've built something up to give you income independent of your job that you set up yourself, it just gives you a new kind of confidence and a new way that you move through the world. Like I said, when I first found eBay, it was like this crazy thing to me that a normal person could just start buying stuff and then flipping it for profit online, and there's no one stopping you from doing that. Like, you can do that without any experience, any knowledge. You will learn along the way. You start slow, and there's so much opportunity to grab onto. You just have to find it. So I hope this gave you the motivation onto why you should start a side hustle ASAP and not keep waiting on it. Because if you've thought about it, you know you should probably do it. Now is as good a time as it ever will be to just start something. And don't worry about being perfect. Just pick one of these side hustles. There are so many out there you can do. And then once you build up that side income that's independent of your current job, you will feel a new sense of stability and confidence. If you enjoy learning more about side gigs and all the ones that I'm doing, I talk about that on this channel, so you should subscribe. You can click here to watch some of my DoorDash videos, which is the main side hustle that I'm pursuing right now.